YouTube, tonight it's Lindy and Mr. Smooth in the Baoji apartment, and I'm really sorry I haven't made a video in a while, but the holiday is coming up for summer for the kids, and the Chinese definition of the summer holiday is a bit different than the American one. Here you have to make up all the classes before the summer holiday happens, so I've been teaching a ridiculous amount and it's really hot here, so I just want to come home and flop in front of the air conditioner with my hedgehog, so I'm sorry that I haven't been on for a while, but here I am tonight, and I'm making a video about what I said I'd talk about when you're trying to get a Chinese girl to like you. And keep in mind, there's over 1 billion people in China. Not everybody is the same, but I'm just saying this is kind of the more or less basic bitch version of how to get a Chinese girl to like you. And I'm sorry, I'm just talking about heterosexual relationships. I don't think I know any gay Chinese people. So without further ado, let's get going. If you want a girl to like you, it's pretty easy. There's the standard thing here, and it's called Gai Fu Shui. I'm sure my Chinese is awful and I butchered that, but the rough translation of that is tall, rich, handsome, and in that order. And their definition of tall here is 5'9" or higher, or I guess if you do the metric thing, 1.8 meters. And like, I guess to reference that, I stand at 5'6", and I'm considered tall. I know in the US a guy that's 5'9", that's actually kind of a little on the small side, but yeah, here that's considered tall. I'm not sure if in the future that's gonna change, because some of my male students that are like 13, 14, they're taller than me, probably in like the 5'10", 5'11"-ish range. And I'm like, no, you're 14-year-old boys. You're gonna get bigger. So I don't know if that's just like nutrition getting better, or I don't know, maybe like breeding. I don't know. That the tall guys have more wives, girlfriends, stuff like that. They have more kids. I'm not sure how that works, but anyway, height is good. The other thing, number 2 in the Gai Fu Shui, is rich. And there's a pop song here that goes, roughly translated, if you don't have a car, if you don't have a house, leave me alone. So yeah, the definition of rich is you need to have a car and a house. And I am in the Shaanxi province, and here, like, that's kind of in the middle. Obviously in Beijing or Shanghai, you're gonna need more money to be considered rich. If you're in like the north, closer to Mongolia, you can probably get by with less. I guess a salary man who's been doing his thing for a while is going to make about 8,000 renminbi a month. So in American money, that's roughly about 1,200. And to live in a 2-bedroom apartment like mine, it's going to be probably about 1,500 a month. So yeah, just to give a point of reference. And you're not allowed to rent the apartment, I guess, to be considered dateable. You need to own the apartment. And the weird thing is, if you are not married by the time you're 27 or 28, you're considered a leftover man or woman, kind of like, what the hell is wrong with you? There's probably a reason, and I just think that's kind of ridiculous. As an American, like, we don't do that. And unlike in America where you can date in high school and college, here that's not really a thing. Like, you don't date in high school, big no-no, big no-no. And in college, it depends on the family, if they're cool about it. If they're not, it's not going to happen. I've told the story about how my parents met in college to some of my Chinese friends, that my parents met doing laundry in the laundry room in college, and they're like, what? Like, that was allowed? And I'm like, yeah, like, you can talk to whoever you want to talk to. And they just thought it was crazy. So, okay, say you get out of college when you're like 22, 23, depending on your degree, how long it takes, stuff like that. You've got about 5 years, like, get your butt in gear. The thing is, though, if you just graduate college, you're not going to have all the cars and the houses and all that fun stuff. In China, you date the family as well as dating the person. So the parents are expected to provide a house and a car for the newlywed couple. So if the parents aren't rich, like, you guys could seriously be soulmates, you could be the best matched people in the world, but if your family doesn't want you to date them because money is an issue, I'm not sure what's gonna happen. in the US, that's not even a question, just, okay, screw you, bye, I'm not going to talk to you anymore, I'm going to be with my true love. Here, they're probably going to make you break it off. I've heard stories about people that are older, like 34, 35, and having to break off relationships because the person that they were interested in wasn't like in a position to get a government job or didn't have enough money or whatever reason. And here that's, I guess, considered, okay, sorry, that's a deal breaker. Family says no. So you're dating the family as well as dating the person. Kind of back on the money thing, there's a dating show here. And one of the contestants said, oh, I'd rather cry in a BMW than laugh on a bike. And as an American, I'm just like, no, I think that's kind of backwards. If the option was available, I would like to laugh in a BMW, but if that just wasn't feasible, then okay, cool, I'll laugh on a bike. I would totally rather laugh on a bike than cry in a BMW, but that's just not how it is here. And I do understand that you need money to make your life easier, like you need money to live, but I don't think that's everything. And I think a Western thing, it's not a big deal if the woman works or if the woman like brings home more money than the guy. I think we're more cool about that than here. Like if I found some Chinese guy who was seriously my true love, like Jack and Rose, but Lindy and I don't know, some Chinese dude, and he didn't have a lot of money, it's like, okay, cool. I am provided a place for my work. I make this much a month. Cool. And it wouldn't be a big deal. But here, I don't think that's going to work. And, okay, so say you're a dude, and you pass the tall test, you have rich parents, so now it's time for the handsome part. And the Chinese definition of handsome is a bit different than the Western one. Here, they don't really do, like, six-packs or anything. I don't know if that's just, like, the body build, that it's easier for white people or black people or, like, just not Chinese people to achieve that. Because I was teaching my kids, like, different units of measurement for food, and I was saying a six-pack, you can do a six-pack of beer or, like, a six-pack of soda, and if you hear it mentioned, like, oh, he has a six-pack, they're not talking about beverages, and I drew, like, a muscular dude on the board, and they're like, teacher, that is very terrible. So I think they think, ew, that's gross, that's gross. That's, yeah, six-pack is not really a thing here, but you're not allowed to be fat either. I've seen couples in the elevator. There's kind of a shopping center by my house, and I was coming down one night, and the wife was berating her husband for eating too much at dinner and was poking his stomach and going, pong, pong, fat, fat. So, like, not totally ripped, not totally skinny, I guess just an average body type here. And with the face, I know that's a human thing. The more symmetrical you are, the more attractive you are. So, okay. And if you are white, oh, that is going to make your life a whole lot easier if you want to date a Chinese person here. There aren't a whole lot of white guys here, so my sample size is kind of small. But every white person here in China that I know is either married to or is engaged to a Chinese woman. Like, that's just how it is. They see that you're white and you're single, they flock. They flock. I've heard of ESL schools kind of being like a dating service for white guys and Chinese women, that guys will come over and they meet a Chinese person and married. If you're black, that's probably going to be an issue. I'm not trying to be racist. This is just what I've seen. At my work, we don't have any white guys. The other white guys I was talking about all work at other schools, and we're just all foreigners. We hang out together. But my school does have some black people. Some are from the US, some are from Zimbabwe. And one had a Chinese girlfriend, and that lasted about a month. After one time she said, oh, you're too black? And I was like, it's not like he just woke up one morning and that's how it was. You knew that was the color of his skin when you started dating him. And if you're seriously that hung up on, like, skin tone, I don't think you're ready for a relationship. And I thought, like, oh, maybe she's just young and immature and she doesn't know people. Maybe, yeah, that's just her. No. I have a Chinese big sister that I hang out with all the time, and she wants to date and marry a foreigner, and she was telling me her criteria, and one of them was no black guys, and I'm like, what? Like, in the US, like, that's racist. You wouldn't say that. Again, Jack and Rose, except for Lindy and some black dude. If he was black, I would not give a crap. But here they do, and I think it's rooted in, like, a cultural thing. And I know here, typically, if you're out in the sun, if you're a poor farmer, you get dark. And I think for guys, it's like, oh, like, he's poor, blah, blah, blah. And this is a weird thing about China, too. I guess for some reason they don't think there are black people in America. And if you bring up, well, what about President Obama? Well, what about Michael Jordan? What about Pharrell? What about, like, insert any famous black dude? Well, that's different. So I don't know. I think the last census said it was 20% black, but yeah, I'm sorry. Maybe in some of the bigger cities you might have an easier time, but if you're a black person looking to marry a Chinese person, I would not recommend coming to a small city. That's probably not going to work. But if you're going to come here, regardless of skin color, something you need, and I repeat, you need to get the girl and the family to accept you, is a college degree. Bachelor's degree is like bare bones, minimum. Master's is good. PhD is preferable. Like I was saying with my big sister, she wants to marry a foreigner, a white foreigner specifically, and she wanted my help looking at guys on dating profiles. And I'm like, oh, okay, that's fine, I'll help you. And I'm like, oh, well, what about this one? Like, he looks nice. And she's like, oh, no college degree. Because, you know how on dating sites it'll say education, high school. And I tried explaining that in America, you don't necessarily need a college degree. I think I read somewhere it's like about 30% of adults over 25 in America have a college degree. And the other 70%, they're not starving in the streets. They're doing okay. And I tried explaining that you could be a plumber and be totally fine and be able to support a family. You could be like a tool and die maker and everything would be financially fine. Nope, college degree. College degree. And you get extra points if it's something in the medical field or an engineering thing. I think what would be like the anti-degree, even if you had it, was some kind of art degree. And I think that's because like artists don't get famous until they're dead. And you know the thing, starving artists, they don't want that. They want money and they want it now. And they want you to be able to provide for the kids and pay for a car and do all that fun stuff. So if you have a like studio management degree, sorry. Engineering people, if you're white, it's going to be super, super easy. And even if you're tall, you're rich, you're handsome, you have an engineering degree, you're white, you're blah, 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 blah. If you have any type of problems, like health problems, it's probably not going to work. I've seen this happen with a friend of mine that I've known since I was 12 who has some kind of mental thing. He won't admit what it is, but you can tell there's something wrong with him. And he's a nice person, but you just have to understand that's part of the way he is. And he had an episode that required him to get sent back to the US for treatment. And he was engaged to this Chinese person, and when this happened, she dumped his ass like garbage, like just outside. And he was really upset about it, and I'm like, you know, like when you get married, for better or for worse, means like, yeah, for no matter what happens, you're going to be there. And like that's just part of who you are. If you get married, she's going to have to live with it. But no, that wasn't a thing, and I did feel like she was treating him like a big hairy purse. Like it's fun to walk around with him outside, it's fun to show him off to your friends, but the second he causes like a problem and it's easier to get another one, you just get another one. So I would be careful, guys, if you want to come here and think, oh, like I'm gonna have all these Chinese women, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know there are some people that treat Chinese women really badly and think, oh, I'm white, I can just do whatever the hell I want. There's some Chinese women too that will treat you like a big hairy purse and will just like throw you out and upgrade to a next model if they see something better. Also, you are not allowed to have any physical problems. If you have like diabetes, like type 1, it's probably not gonna work They're gonna think, oh, there's something wrong with you. What if the babies have that? The family is probably gonna like put their foot down on that, or they're gonna try and give you some Chinese medicine treatment that probably isn't gonna work, and you should probably keep your insulin. So yeah, I guess be tall, rich, handsome, be white, have an engineering degree, no mental or physical issues, and you will be fine. I think it's easier, at least for me. I've grown up in a Western country and I think I'm pretty set in my ways. Like, I think I would have a really hard time living here and trying to be like these women. I think I'm just going to be the weird American and be myself. I was hanging out with a coworker's Chinese friend and they were saying, oh, hey, Lindy, do you like Chinese guys? I could set you up with somebody. What kind of stuff do you like in a guy? And I said, one, I have a lot of pets. And if I see an animal and I feel bad, I'm gonna bring it home so he can't flip out on me if I keep bringing home animals. And I like to be picked up, not like picked up in a bar, like, hey, baby. No, I like to be physically, like, picked up. And yeah, here I've noticed once the kids get past maybe like 4 years old, they don't even pick up kids. So I think I need one of those like Olympic lifter dudes to be my boyfriend. They're like, oh, like, so you want a strong one? And I'm like, yeah, somebody who's strong, who takes care of me, like, emotionally, financially, I'm not super concerned about that, and somebody who tolerates that I have a ton of pets. And they were like, what about rich? And I'm like, it's nice, but, like, that's not what I'm super concerned about. Like, somebody who is kind to me, somebody who doesn't care that I bring home animals, speaks English would be nice. Yeah, I think that's important too. And they were just blown away that the financial thing had never crossed my mind. So I guess that's just my perspective on the dating scene here and just differences that I've noticed between American culture and Chinese culture. Okay, I'll do a flip side, like how to get guys to like you here. And thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Thanks, and have a good day or night. Bye-bye.